Hi there, this is Break the Silence. My name is Mercy Makinde, and today we'll be talking about the signs and symptoms of child sexual abuse. Why is this topic very important? Because usually when a child is abused, there are usually no signs except the child reports. However, we have noticed that a lot of children do not report cases of child sexual abuse. So how would you as a parent, a guardian, uncle, auntie, or even a friend notice that a child has been sexually abused? That is what we'll be discussing today. And with me in the studio is Dr. Oyekomi. You would meet her when we go on this short break and come back. Stay tuned. You're welcome back. So with me in the studio today is Dr. Oyekomi. Welcome, madam.
Thank you
and
for
we're really
having
humbled to have you on this set.
Thank you
for obliging us to come.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, madam. So let's go straight to the business of the day. We're talking about signs and symptoms of child sexual abuse. And from all of this, I can tell you've been working with children perhaps almost all your working life.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this?
I've been in the practice of psychiatry for almost 20 years.
Oh, wow, 20 years.
Yes, almost 2 decades.
So we're really privileged to have you.
Thank you
very much, madam. So the first question I'll be talking to you or asking you really is this. How can a parent or a caregiver detect that a child has been sexually abused?
The signs and symptoms are, they're myriad. They could present with anything. And they depend on so many factors. For example, the age of the child, the perpetrator, that is the abuser, and then the context of the abuse, and then the perceived support the child feels he or she has. Are we talking about female or male now?
Yeah, both. We can think both ways.
Okay, good.
So you have a child. How do you know this child has been abused? Yeah.
Now, the signs or symptoms, can be divided into two. They can be very subtle, and then they can be very alarming. Most of the time, they are subtle.
So most of the time?
Yes, most of the time they are subtle. And then because children are still developing, they don't have that cognitive sophistication to verbalize. So for a parent or a caregiver to pick the signs early, the person must have a nuanced understanding of that child's behavior. Unfortunately, a lot of parents don't have the time.
Let me pause you there, but I'm sorry. Now, a lot of us have not read psychology, psychiatrics like you.
Okay.
So, cutting out the nuances, I'm trying to borrow from all the big grammar. So can you just teach us the basic way that we can, the layman can understand that this child is going,
I'll break it down. Yeah,
yes.
I mean that when I say cognitive sophistication, I mean the intellectual capacity, the ability to express herself. The child is still young. So most of the time, the child will be communicating in non-verbal modes. And then you as a parent, you need to be able to pick up things. For example, maybe the way the child smiles, and then you notice that, oh, this child is not smiling like before. Or the way the child looks, or the way the child feels, when maybe a particular uncle or somebody is around. So these are the nuances of a child's behavior, the fine details. That is what I mean by nuances.
Yeah.
And I said earlier that, unfortunately, a lot of parents don't even have those fine details of their child's behavior. So it's not enough just to know the gross behavior of your child, because most of the time, the gross behavior may not show the signs of sexual abuse. So having said that, so I said that the signs could be subtle or alarming. It could be alarming, especially when the child is very, very young. Take maybe under 1, and then, or maybe 1, 2, 3, and then the mother is bathing the child, and then maybe gets to the private area, and the child expresses some feelings of pain. So that one is very, very alarming.
Obvious.
You can see physical signs, but most of the time you won't even see those physical signs. Let's go through what really happens when a child is sexually abused. When a child is sexually abused, it's like a personal violation. The child has the sense of her personal integrity taken away from her. The child loses the control over her body, the child loses what will I call it now? Coerciveness, freedom. The child loses her
Even
personal
trust in
space.
people, yeah.
Space, I mean, as human beings, one of the things that make us humans is this sense of personhood. You are a person. You are different from me.
Yeah.
You have your own personal space. You have your own personal freedom that you enjoy. And nobody should take this away from you. So when a child is sexually abused, those things that are so personal, the personhood of that child is taken away from that child. And because of this, it's like the child loses power over her own being. And because of this, negative emotions will set in. So the negative emotions are very, very many. The child can become withdrawn. So, for example, a child that hitherto was maybe very exuberant, outgoing, and now all of a sudden you are now just noticing that this child is getting gradually withdrawn. Don't dismiss it as, oh, maybe it's malaria, or maybe because of the exams. Exactly. and then sometimes too, the child can be reticent. Maybe a child that used to be chatty, you can talk, and then the child does not want to talk. You're asking the child something, the child is just answering you in monosyllables. Yes, no. Think that. So it may be, pointers to the fact that there's something wrong with that child, and you should probe. Yeah. Sometimes the child is anger. And then the child becomes irritable. And then maybe this child, and when is this one starting that I'm talking to you and you are shouting, things like that, So the child can become irritable. Sometimes the child will just shell out and would not even want to interact with anybody. So it can have different types of emotions. The child also sometimes will be blaming herself, what we call guilt, because especially when the perpetrator is a family member or a very respected person or a very close person. And then the child might be wondering,
so it's my fault.
Yeah, it's my fault, self-blame, guilt, all those things. And then there could be the emotion of fear. The child is always afraid. And then if maybe the uncle comes in, or the perpetrator, yes, the abuser or the perpetrator comes in, and then the child cringes, you should suspect. Those are the nuances of your child's behavior. So those are the subtle signs. And then sometimes too, if the child maybe is 7, 5, who had been potty trained, the child can regress and now start wetting the bed again. Yes. So it's not the time to beat the child.
Why you do bed wet? Look at you, at your age.
A child that was dry before, that had achieved dryness, now wetting the bed again. You should suspect there's something wrong with that child, and you should probe. Now, those are some of the subtle signs. We talked about the alarming signs. Now, when these emotions are there and they are not attended to, they can now morph into what we call externalizing behaviors. That now everybody will know that there's something wrong with this child. For example, a child can just become aggressive. A child can become delinquent. A child that was not running away from school before. You tell the child
lose interest in
in academics. The grades are dropping. The child will tell you, I have a headache, today, because
he lose interest in going to school.
He or she does not want to go to school, especially maybe if the perpetrator is even a teacher or somebody in the school.
Wow.
And then it graduates. The child can even start what we call precocious sexual activity. So lay people would call it maybe like prostitution, So the child will now start engaging in sexual activities because the child feels what is left. Everything has been taken away from me. I don't have power. I just let go. Everything can just happen to me.
Does this happen while they're still a child, or they take it into adulthood?
It depends. It depends on the age or at which that abuse occurred. Most of the time it starts with a negative emotion, and then if the attention is not paid, it will now gradually morph into all this externalizing behavior. And then sometimes the child might even start abusing drugs as a way, of numbing the pain. because it's really, really painful. Psychological trauma, psychological wound is worse. It's worse than physical wound.
Pain.
And the scars that are left behind are very, very big. You know, it's not like physical pain. And fortunately, because it's so psychologically, a lot of times people don't pick it. But for you to pick it as a mother or a parent or a caregiver, you need to know that it could happen to anybody. Some mothers are still in that paradise that they feel that it can never happen to me.
I covered with the blood of Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. And then in this part of the world, we tend to spiritualize everything. So they feel that since I've covered my child with the blood of Jesus, no harm is going to happen to that child. I mean, parenting is work. A lot of mothers or a lot of parents. I'm hinging on mothers because yes, it takes two to bring a child to the world, but the mother is at the center front of a child's upbringing. The mother is the one that would likely pick up changes early
in the child.
Yes, you know, because women are more sensitive when it comes to emotions,
so they respond emotionally
than men. So as a mother, the onus falls on you, it lies on you, you know. So you as a mother, you should know that parenting is work. It's not about going to work morning till night, you come back, the children are asleep. When do you have time
to interact
with your child?
Find out what they're going through.
Talk.
Okay, we'll take a break now, Dr. Yekomi. When we come back, we'll also look at the other flip side of the coin, other caregivers beyond the mom. So audience, don't go away. We'll be right back. Thank you. You're welcome back. It's still Break the Silence, and my guest is still here. As a matter of fact, I have an additional guest. Now, Mary here had a case of child sexual abuse in her home, and it took her understanding signs and symptoms for her family, and I mean the entire family, to figure out that this child was going through abuse. And Mary is here with us in the studio. Mary, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for obliging us to come and talk about this very sensitive issue that I knew how much it affected your family back last year. That's when she came to me to talk about this case. And I'm glad that you're able to come today to speak up and talk about it. And I know that our audience back at home would have one or two things to learn from Mary's experience. So Mary, tell us the story.
Thank you for having me, Ma.
You're welcome.
So the first sign we noticed in the little girl was...
How old was she?
She was 7
Okay.
back then. That was last year.
Okay.
She became very rude. And
very rude?
Yes, she became very rude and aggressive. This was a child that used to be very respectful, humble, obedient, as in obedient. You can send her anywhere or talk to her. All of a sudden, she became very aggressive. Nobody could talk to her. She became rude. Then our younger one with her, she started beating up the younger one. Anytime that one comes close to her, she beats her up just like that. I was wondering, what could be the problem? Then she did something very terrible. She took a little child, a neighbor, into the bedroom and closed the door. The nanny went inside and saw her lying on top of that little girl. The nanny was like, what's happening? Why are you doing this? This one. She just got up. She eased, as in, you have come to disturb my action, something like that.
So rather than being remorseful,
yes,
she was fighting back.
She was fighting back. I'm telling you.
At age 7.
At age 7. Then the one that blew my mind was I caught her red-handed writing a love letter. I was dumbfounded. I mean, at 7 years old.
Love letter to who?
To a boyfriend.
At age 7?
Yes. And she used some kind of words that I cannot even say on TV. At that age.
On the letter?
Yes, on the letter. It was that bad. That was when I knew that something is wrong with this girl.
So when you now put all of this together, what did you do at that point?
I sat her down and asked her what the problem was, but she refused to open up. Then I knew that for her to behave like this and been showing all these different signs, then something must be wrong. Maybe she has been abused until I caught her at night. This bobo, this children drink that they take, she took the straw and was poking it into her vagina. Blood was gushing out.
Wow.
At that stage, I I was scared. I didn't even know what to do. I had to call the mother. They quickly rushed her to the hospital and all that. When we opened her up, everything was so bad. As in bad. It was not good for the eyes at all.
Wow, that's scary. So at the point you went to the hospital, she was treated, right?
Yes, she was treated.
So what was the next step? What did you do?
She came back and continued.
Wow.
She did not stop at that stage. Then we took her to church.
Okay.
So after we took her to church, they prayed for her and everything. She even stayed in the church for 3 days for fasting. That little girl. They left her there to do dry fasting and all that she will change, all that. We came back and it still continued.
Wow.
It became worse. She started having sleepless nights. She couldn't sleep at night. There was a time they forced her to eat. She refused to eat. They forced her to eat. She went to the kitchen, picked up a knife that she wants to kill herself.
Wow.
I'm telling you that she's tired of life.
At 7?
At 7 years.
Okay,
it was really bad.
After all of this, so you were going to the church,
nothing worked. We talked to her, we flogged her, we did everything. It didn't work. So I now started attending I joined the Touch Me Not campaign.
Okay.
That talks to children on child sexual abuse.
Okay.
After I went for the first campaign, I said, wow, this thing will be of a good help to this little girl.
Okay.
So anytime she's on break or midterm, I take her along for campaigns. The first campaign I took her to, she couldn't even look up. She was remorseful because maybe as at that time she did not know what she was doing was wrong. So maybe after listening to the talk, she started changing. Okay. I started taking her for campaigns. Sometimes I won't even allow her go to school. I will take her for that campaign so she will listen and learn. Then I now took her for the first children conference in Nigeria that was organized on the Children's Day last year. So she spoke to a child psychologist. I think from there her life changed. Okay. And we've been monitoring her and everything. She's doing better. And I still try to carry her along every time for campaigns.
Okay, so it has stopped now.
Yes,
that's what you're saying. And there's
stopped.
A lot of improvement.
Yes.
How about the signs you notice? Is she still very aggressive? Is she still very...
No, she has changed.
So not just changing in abusing herself.
Yes.
She's also changing all the signs and symptoms
she has.
She exhibited. Oh,
because
that's
we
awesome.
work on her, we look at her every time. I make sure that I go there to check on her. And I take her out because the psychologist said we should always take her out. Yes.
So she shouldn't be by herself.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you.
You just saved a life. You know that?
Yes,
So you're a Mother Teresa.
Thank you
so much. So, Dr. Yekomin, so I mean, looking at this case now, is there anything they could have done better? Where did they go wrong? What do you have to say about this?
I want to congratulate her, for even picking it at all.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to know how it started, who introduced this girl to this act. It would have been so fantastic.
Do you have answers to that question? Who introduced her?
We don't know
when it started.
We don't know how it started, but I get it from school.
That's a guess, because what about if the abuser is still within the household or in the neighborhood? It would have been nice to know. And then her experience captures everything that would likely happen to a lot of people. When she got to know, the first thing was beat the child, try to question the child by herself, and then go to the church, subject
to pray out the evil spirits.
Exactly. So that's one of the fundamental problems that we have. The spiritualizing. I mean, the girl displayed everything, all the emotions that that usually comes with such experience: aggression at herself, aggression at other people. Sometimes child sexual abuse may not only be by somebody doing it on the child. Maybe the child was even watching pornographic things. Maybe the child was even peering at other people while having their bath or while they are
started doing it to herself.
Yes. Wow. So that means child sexual abuse is so wide. The best thing is that when you are suspecting or you can confirm, the best thing is go to a professional. Don't go to the pastor. I'm not saying you shouldn't pray. Prayer should be by the side. But the most important thing is go to the right persons that would deal with the problem professionally.
Oh, thank you so much, madam. I think at this point we would have to stop the program. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on, but we just have to go. I mean, time is not our friend here. We would like to say that to all parents listening, I mean, not just parents, but caregivers, aunties, like an exemplary auntie like Mary here, whoever is with a child, that child near you, keep an eye on that child. Look out for that sign because it just might be saving his or her life. Till I come your way next time, it's Break the Silence. Take care.